Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Wherever you are in the world, welcome back to The Caring Economy with me, Toby Usnik. Today's guest is Vanessa Cheung. Vanessa is the Group Managing Director of the Fung Development Limited in Hong Kong, as well as the founder of the Mills Hong Kong. Welcome to The Caring Economy, Vanessa.
Hi, Toby. Thank you so much for having me.
I have shared with you in the past how in awe I am of you and what you've done and your family with the Mills. That's how I first came to you. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of years ago, I was in Hong Kong on business on behalf of one of my clients, an educational institution, Parsons, here in the United States. And I made my way to the Mills, which is this fairly new, refurbished part of Hong Kong. And I felt as if I had fallen into a magical kingdom. I thought to myself, this is a special place. What is this place? How does it work? Who's behind it? And the more I dug, the more fascinated I became. And so I want to share with you and have Vanessa on today to talk about the Mills in particular, which is her baby, her project, and then also her career in general. So with that robust introduction, Vanessa, tell us a little bit about you, first of all. You're a Hong Kong native and Harvard educated, UC Berkeley, I believe, a landscape architect, someone who was born into privilege, but someone who has not taken it for granted or has not stopped working, I think. Is that a fair statement?
Yes. Yes, so as Toby, you mentioned, I am born and raised in Hong Kong. Until college, I went to UC Berkeley and did my undergraduate degree in molecular and cell biology. I was actually on track to becoming a veterinarian, but found out that I didn't have the best grades, first of all, and it's way too much more school I'd have to do. And on my third year of college, I found out about the profession of a landscape architect, and which I thought was the perfect combination for myself. It's nature, biology, science, art, and design, all in one. And so I decided I took a gap year and did a couple internships in Hong Kong, one in a landscape architecture firm, which I ended up working at after I graduated AECOM, and did my application for master's in landscape architecture. Ended up being super fortunate to be accepted at the Harvard Graduate School of Design, which really shaped and changed my view, my perspective of relationships in general, like relationships amongst people and the built environment, people and nature and the built environment, animals that I love, and more about plants, everything, like how finding connections amongst them, how to work with them. And I basically came home after graduation and saw Hong Kong with a completely different eye, as if like I wasn't born and raised here. But it's all like very inspirational and super eye-opening. I practiced as a landscape designer at a firm for 3 years and a bit. Then I thought and then my family my grandfather founded the Fung Group, which is now a conglomerate, including one of our core businesses is in real estate, property development. And I decided, with some persuasion from family, I decided to join the family business to work alongside with my brother and my mom. And in the first year, I was learning about the company's portfolio and found out that the original textile mills still in place, but it was used as a warehouse space.
And six, I believe. Six mills, I think you had.
There were 6 mills, yes, but mills 1, 2, and 3 were redeveloped into residential units back in the 80s, actually. And then so 4, 5, and 6, which is now you'll see names of that we still use mills 4, mill 6, and that's why it's mill 4, 5, and 6 in the current site. And I thought it was also the 60th anniversary of the group, and many of us actually didn't realize that we started off as a textile company. So I thought, and at that time, which is 5 years ago now, almost 6 years ago now, Hong Kong had some kind of like negative sentiment already, and I thought it could be very interesting to bring up the textile heritage of the company, but also textile industry played a huge role in Hong Kong's development, which everyone who was in the textile industry is actually really proud of what they've done. So that kind of spirit, I was wondering how we can bring it alive again and share it and become inspirational. So at first, I thought I'd like to convert the mills 4, 5, and 6 into a museum. But as most of us know, like museum is not the most profitable. Also could be a bit boring if not done properly. And none of us have museum experience. I didn't have museum experience. And it should be something more fun and innovative, I thought. And so thinking of adding different components into it, which eventually turned it into the three pillars of the mills. So the first one is still a museum, which is the Center of Heritage Art and Textile, nicknamed CHAT. That's the museum piece within the mills, and it's situated in Mill 6. And then because it's located in a pretty industrial zone in Hong Kong, to get people there, we had to have a second pillar for entertainment and food and beverage and a bit of shopping. So we have a piece that's an experiential retail, we said, to celebrate the best of Hong Kong. A lot of the tenants there are actually first-time tenants, but they were experienced online retailers, the first time having shops, or they used to be more focused on B2B kind of retailing, but ready to take it into the next step to be like more consumer facing. And so that part is the Mills shop floor. And the third part is the Mills Fabrica, which is the innovation piece. And it's a startup launch pad for what we call a new industry, tech style. And it's a play on the word textile, of course. So that's how the Mills was born. It is my baby. It's one of the things that I really am super proud of. And funnily enough, it's extra meaningful because the opening date of the Mills was also the due date of my own real baby.
Wow.
But end up my baby, my real baby came a month early. So he
You were
stole
able to make the opening.
Yeah, I couldn't make the opening. But yeah, 2 babies born pretty much the same time.
That's so awesome. I know from years of having traveled and worked in Hong Kong how integral textiles have been to the economy and to the culture there. And I can envision that, your family's textile mills were among the biggest, if not the biggest, for all those years. And then everything started to move to mainland China or to other parts of Asia. So
Yeah.
the textile industry was moving, and you then, as the family went into property and other areas of business, could have just abandoned it or left it to be, right? But I think that that's part of why I'm really excited to have you, Vanessa Cheung, on the Caring Economy, because you had the vision to not abandon it, but to say, and it's probably a little bit of that Harvard training you referenced, seeing new relationships between people and places and time. And so you took what was a downtrodden industrial place and created this magnificent spot. Is that a fair summary?
Yeah, the whole project is I would say very organic. No, and in the company, I would say only maybe there's only 1.5 employee that was from the textile days. And so the whole project was really all through outreach and help, and it's a collaborative effort from industry partners and players, institutions, academic institutions, governments, like everyone around the world, and startups or experienced retailers or old textile partners of Fung and whatnot. So it's a really great like learning journey for all of us, especially myself, of course, and it's really taught us like different ways within the company too, like how to work, and sort of like improvise, like even though of course we had to give somewhat of a business plan, which we've always failed to do so 100%, but it's like up till today now the mills has been open for 2.5 years now, and the plan's still moving, and there are so many unexpected results that's been generated that keep getting us to move in a different direction than we originally intended. But the core intention of making a space to be a cross-generational community space is definitely being accomplished. Yes. We see many dialogues getting started up again because people can connect in this space where their grandparents used to work, and it's also a cool like hipster spot where people can blog and post, and it's also pet friendly. So it's somewhere where yeah, so somewhere where we want people to feel like they can have a piece of the whole development of the mills. We, even before the opening, we've already reached out to the neighborhood. So when it's open, we're not just airdropping this revitalized project or building into the neighborhood. But when it's open, everyone felt like they've contributed and participated.
Again, ladies and gentlemen, today we have Vanessa Cheung on the Caring Economy. She's the Group Managing Director of the Fung Development Limited, as well as the founder of the mills in Hong Kong. Vanessa, you are clearly a purpose-driven person. You're working with a purpose-driven brand, a family brand. Can you talk a little bit about what purpose means to you as a businesswoman? It's the crux of the caring economy for me. I think that the best successful brands are the ones that really are empathetic and thinking about all stakeholders and factoring them into their decision-making real time. I think you've done that, but talk to me a little bit about purpose and what it's meant in your life, how you defined it, how you discovered it, and how you would coach others to find it.
I think I never really thought of myself as the purpose driven. I just do things that I really like to do. And I always try to, even if it's something that I don't particularly like, I find a small piece of it that I can relate to and that gets me going and motivated to make things work. I think my grandfather is one that really instilled this thought of caring into all of us. Actually, right now, it's one of his motto, which we still talk about in the company all the time, is care for others as well as you would care for yourself. It's a quite a famous Chinese saying, but it really becomes like one of the core it really shaped my mindset in everything I've done. It's always think about how the other end would receive it rather than superimposing my own beliefs into others, and that also keep me to like stay having an open mind and grow as I do things, as I learn from others, and also to try really to understand where people come from to arrive certain decisions, or before arriving certain decisions or conclusions, and understanding who you're building for and who you're working with. And it's always evolving. Things we've done successfully 5 years ago probably wouldn't work as well currently.
Right.
So it's all, and also with real estate and the building like larger scale projects in the built environment. Um, it's a long cycle. It's not something that can be done within a couple of months. So in a way, we have to be very forward thinking, I think, but also be very resilient and working with people, working for people, having this kind of caring and empathy mindset and attitude is what can make us resilient, because you're always dealing with the current situation or forward situation, and you're
Right.
not like stuck in the moment.
Right. I mean, COVID certainly could have been one of those moments that gets us stuck, but it sounds like you're still thriving there at the mills, even with the pandemic still unfolding. You've said to me earlier today, you're actually quarantining now, returned from New Zealand. So we're not out of this yet, right? I'd like to better understand, though, the culture at the mills, your team. How do you get that? How do you teach them? How do you coach them? How do you nurture those sort of shared values? Obviously, some of it's in the selection of who you bring on, but you still have to constantly coach and mentor and mold people. How do you go about doing that?
I'm very lucky, like you said, we found the right people. It took a little while to find exactly the right team, like, but many of them have been with us since pretty much day one, like so before the opening, obviously. I think because it's kind of an abstract concept, the mills before it was built, and how the three pillars can work with each other synergistically. Um, a lot of them I just share. I kind of, especially with the mills team, I do a lot of thinking out loud with them, and and so I have to like reiterate that because sometimes it's taken as instruction, which I didn't mean to be, and also I mean a lot of the outreach I've done on my own in the early days as well. So meeting with potential partners or now become some of our most valuable advisors. Um, just identifying quick actions or quick wins we can work with them with to show our commitment. It's not just a project for show. It's not just one to elevate the Nanfeng brand, but actually we're committed to create an impact for the community and for the industry, and create an ecosystem, a healthy and innovative ecosystem. Um, that's what I think also gets the team moving and going, like seeing how we through these quick actions, small steps that can lead us into bigger steps. And till now, sometimes, I mean, it's still hard for the museum side to think of how to work with the retail side, right? Or with the startups. But I think as the team communicate more and are more willing to brainstorm and to bring to create more sparks, it's getting there. But of course, like each pillar is also growing depending on what they've reached or met. So it's all kind of not a mess. It's like a constructive mess, and, which I truly embrace.
Yes. Vanessa, stay with us after a quick break, and we'll be right back. Ladies and gentlemen, again, today we have Vanessa Cheung with us. She's the Group Managing Director of the Nanfeng Development Limited in Hong Kong, a family-founded conglomerate, property, textile, and other areas, and also, as excitingly, the founder of the Mills Hong Kong. I do believe that CSR, by practicing it, it makes a brand more nimble. So you've said a few times today that you're building it. I don't think it's a mess, but you can say sometimes it might look like a mess in motion, but you've stayed true to those three pillars, and it's serving you well. I wonder, do you agree with that this sort of creative chaos, or this sort of more of directional versus having all the answers all the time is the healthier, more sustainable way to run a business.
Yes, I do believe that. But of course, there are certain frameworks we have to adhere to for running a business, right? Like it can't just be always in chaos or always. Um, so it has to be nimble enough to address like issues or to change directions or to change it in the pace
Yes.
of the project based on situations and I guess like COVID is a great example,
Mm.
and how we can still retain an efficient team to work with but still execute.
Mhm.
And I think as we talked about before, always working with people is one of the ways that we can keep ourselves current, and also know that what we're doing is going to be well received.
Mhm. Do you I love that we just met your child. Do you find that as a woman that you're you're perhaps more inclined to operate in this sort of more holistic way, or do you think that it's something that you learned? I wonder what it's like to be a successful businesswoman in not just in Hong Kong, but in the world right now. Have you found upsides, downsides to it?
I think um I don't think it's just like I mean having a child really changed my priorities,
Mhm.
and I think I try to be extra efficient
Mhm.
because I want to spend more time with my child, especially now, super fun age.
Mhm.
And but also he's also what like keeps me motivated to want to work because I'm constantly learning from him,
Mm.
and also seeing what we can build that can last for generations for him to also enjoy, to feel proud of, right? So with the mills, it's really cool because we work with lots of children, but
Yeah.
also lots of different kinds of communities.
Mhm.
So bringing children, like teaching them how things are done previously in the old school way, while they also discover a creative way on their own.
Mhm.
Um, it's very inspirational, and seeing how we can teach social values and to them through the mills initiatives, and also teaching them about environmental and social sustainability, and also helping them shape what they like to do, and encourage them in different ways to be not forcing them to be creative, but really exploring what they like to do, really helps. So one of the initiatives that we've done a couple years ago is that with one of the artists in residence we've done with chat, is that we collected old white t-shirts from the community, and adult shirts, actually collared shirts, adult collared, white collared shirts.
Mhm. Dress.
And we gave them to a bunch of primary school um, children, and had them draw what they'd want to be in the future. And and then they did a little parade with these shirts, or wearing their own shirts. And it was such a moving but also fun moment.
Uh-huh.
There were ones that wanted to be YouTubers, was just very, and then
Before they
some
were
of them though, yeah. So we see like, I mean, there are going to be jobs that will be replaced, of course, in the future, and everyone's talking about this. But there are also going to be so many new positions, new jobs that are coming that we can't even predict or understand or foresee.
Yes.
So I think it could be scary, but it's also an exciting part to see. And I think working with a child reminds me, I mean, having a child, not working with a child, reminds me
That would be illegal. So
to
yes. That sounds
reminds me that we have to keep ourselves like don't zone in too much, but
yeah.
be it to embrace it, be sometimes be a generalist and not just keep ourselves in a pigeonhole.
Yeah, hold on to a little bit of that inner child. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we have Vanessa Cheung with us today. She's the Group Managing Director at Fung Development Limited and founder of The Mills. Vanessa, I'm mindful of our time. I want to ask you just a couple more questions. Textile, which I think is just a fantastic sort of mashup of technology and style with the roots in textiles. Your sort of, I think of the full lifespan, you've gone from describing the child to the adults that are now benefiting from Fabrica, which is your sort of tech space, your education center, and part VC as well, right?
Yeah. Yes.
So can you talk a little bit about that? How are you prepping the design folks of tomorrow today?
So we are in a pretty unique position, the Mills Fabrica, because we're not really an industry player. We're not in the textile business. So we call ourselves, or we position ourselves as ecosystem builders because we work with the whole supply chain and all the different kinds of stakeholders and from the large corporates to startups. We have a physical space at the Mills called that is a one part of it is a co-working space, and we also have like more longer term offices to be rented, but also we have a Fabrica lab that has all kinds of for people to do prototyping in the
That's what
textile space.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's from any type of like garment or apparel production, sewing, like printing, 3D printing, to a wet lab space, because one of the scientists in residence we took on from Central St. Martin's, her technology is growing a shoe with bacteria. So yeah, so and it's taking into commercialization actually like this year, and we have that space, but also we have a fund, the Fabrica Fund, which focuses on again textile, and now we're tapping into agriculture tech space with the expansion of our London location. So
I didn't know you were expanding into London.
Yeah, the space is in Regent's Quarter in King's Cross, and it's a small 3-story building that will be opening, fingers crossed, in June. And so so the fund is to support mainly early stage startups, but we also do incubation. And we don't have a prescribed program or batches of incubatees. So everything is very customized based on the startup's needs. Because we found out like a lot of times, sometimes they just need mainly marketing help. Some of them need like technical or scientific knowledge help to scale up or whatnot. So yeah, everything is again done very not in a prescriptive way.
Very bespoke. Well, you answered the last question I was going to ask you, which is what's next. It sounds like London is next. So instead of that, I'll ask you a tried and true question, which is how do you relax, or how do you give yourself a break? And I know you're quite a CrossFit maven, I believe.
Yes.
And now a busy mom as well. So how do you relax? How do you stay so focused?
Exercising, yes, is a huge thing. I do that. That's one thing that's pretty like religious to me that I have to do even in the hotel now. My husband and I take turns to work out, and of course playing with my child like every single moment, even when he's having a tantrum, like really I embrace it. So these 21 days with him in a confined hotel room, I feel like it's weird to say, but I might miss it because
it's kind of like silver lining.
Yeah,
I get it.
Yeah, so that's those two are part of it, but of course, like I also I love gardening and being hiking, walking in trails, or even just walking on the streets to daydream a little. Um, Weird things like I pay attention to like street trees or even the paving pattern on the ground, like everything that gets me quite distracted. So sometimes people run into me onto the street and I didn't even see them because because of that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's that training again that was reinforced at Harvard with thinking about relationships constantly between our environments and our people. Thank you so much for joining us on the Caring Economy, Vanessa Chung. I hope you'll come back because we have barely scratched the surface on so many interesting things that you're doing.
Thank you.
Stay well and stay strong throughout the quarantine. And again, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Stay healthy, everyone.
Vanessa, can you talk a little bit about, you've got a young child, you're educating him and trying to teach him values as your grandfather and your parents taught you. I wonder about the role of tolerance and what you are inculcating or what you think about tolerance. It's been quite an extreme year here in the United States for many reasons around politics and elections, but any thoughts about tolerance?
I think, yeah, there's a little bit of a growing, there is a need for, I think that for us all, who has been so fortunate to get many instant gratification, to
Mhm.
lose sight of having tolerance. Um, and it's anything from material items to people talking to people responding, like in communication. We always expect everyone around us to revolve around us, and when doesn't really go our way, or when someone is a little slower than what we expected in our minds, um, we get frustrated. Whereas I think a lot of times if we take some time to, like a child too, right, like working playing with him, allowing him to they have the space to build, say building Legos, build what he wants first before us trying to do it for him.
Mhm.
um, that build tolerance, because it also builds tolerance. He will build tolerance to try to make what he wants to make, or try give him some time to describe what he's doing. um, so with us also, I think taking the time to really think about or hear what people are trying to say,
Mhm.
and also digest it and discuss and communicate, like have real communications, and not just say I made my statement and if you agree, then that's it. If we don't agree, then maybe it's better off we don't be friends. Like
Yeah.
that really creates growth, and and make us a stronger person in general.
Yeah, and I think it's a great characteristic of a leader. A real leader does have that listening ability and empathy to guide a whole team across the finish line instead of just one individual. Um, I'm sort of at the other end of the spectrum with your son. My father is now in hospice care. We've had him on the Caring Economy.
Yeah.
He's at the end of his life, and it's the same kind of thing. I want to do it for him, right? But I need to let him continue to live out his life, feeding himself for as long as he can, and to have the dignity,
Yeah.
and also to just, as you say, listen, right? Like to be empathetic. So I couldn't agree more with you, and I appreciate your sharing that with our audience.
Thank you. I really hope things go smoothly with you.
Thank you.